I'm Adam Calaway. I'm at Cattle Chat Corner at NCBA 2014 in Nashville, Tennessee. I have a special guest with me. Tell me who you are and what you're doing here at NCBA.
I'm Wasko. I'm from Canada. I'm from southwest Saskatchewan, and I'm a market analyst for the Canadian cattle industry, but my husband and I are also involved in the ranching business in southern Saskatchewan. So kind of coming at it from both angles as far as industry and producer.
Well, then let's talk about the producer part, and then we'll go over and talk about the industry part. First, tell me a little bit about your operation.
Well, Barry and I run Red Angus, commercial Red Angus herd, and we also grass the calves, keep the calves true to grass at our background yard, and sell them the following summer. So it's an intensive program that we keep everything right through until they go to the feedlot.
Animal welfare has been a topic that is always first and foremost in producers' minds. What are you doing on your operation to ensure animal welfare?
Well, of course, we believe, of course, the animals are our livelihood, and we treat them with at the highest level of respect that we think they can. The better they are thriving, then the better they're doing for us. So it's kind of a natural. I do think we have to tell that story better. But having said that, by all means, what we do in our operation is very much making sure the calves are healthy, and the nutrition on the programs is correct, and all those kinds of things that basically make animals healthy and happy.
One of the things that we're talking a lot about here in NCBA is technology. So let me ask you a couple quick questions. Do you have a smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have apps on there that you're using to gather data and information from?
Just starting to, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Now, do you think that, or is it already helping you make decisions on your operation?
Well, I think anytime you can start gathering information together in a convenient, quick, easy place to access and use, it's going to mean we will. And so I think as our operation is, we're just in that early phases, but absolutely it's something I can see coming to more fruition as we go forward.
You see it also integrating as far as looking at weather and animal health and all those different information sources, then pulling that together?
Well, I think so. And of course, I'm a market analyst, so I keep tying everything back into the market and how it impacts things from that perspective. But whether we're talking the weather, which of course farmers and ranchers follow all the time anyways, and how can they make better decisions going forward with some knowledge, right? So anytime we can use the knowledge to make a better decision, that can't be bad.
That's right. What areas do you wish you could get more information on?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a lot of the questions we're asking as we wander around this trade show often have to do with nutrition type questions, the technology in that whole area, equipment questions are obviously things you ask when you're at a trade show like this. So a variety of things, but nutrition I think is probably the most common question we're asking.
Let's shift to the other hat that you wear, which is dealing with the markets and assessing the markets. How's the market right now, and what is the future of it?
Well, the market, and of course many of us were at the Cattle Facts Outlook session this morning here, and markets are great. The markets are good in Canada. But we also know as both the U.S. and Canada wander onto this global environment as far as cattle pricing is concerned, that there's more risks involved. And cattle prices are great, but the other side of that is that there's a whole bunch of money required, credit required to be in this business, and it just gets simply that much more risky if something does go haywire, whether it's to do with weather, whether it's to do with foreign trading partners, foreign animal diseases, all those various issues that when you're kind of bearing yourself to the world, all of those things can prevent or cause risks in the marketplace. So we have to be risk aware for sure.
Well, let's talk about some of the factors that go into producing cattle. Maybe that consumers don't know. Sort of walk us through the number of inputs that you have.
Well, of course, in a cow-calf operation, you're going to be talking about, after you talk about water, which is, of course, a huge part, you're talking about the grains and the forages and the hays. And that's basically, at a finishing yard, that, of course, would include grain. At our operation, we're basically on the forage and the grass side of the business. So there's a lot of the nutrition side of it. But then, of course, you've got the other side where you might have some equipment to run, whether they're watching the energy markets, the fuel markets, those kinds of things are all inputs that play a big part in our business on a cost side.
How much different is it? How much more expensive or less expensive is it to produce a cow today versus 10 years ago?
Oh, I'm not sure I know that answer. I think a lot has to do with what's going on with costs of feed at the time. And just even comparing this year to last year, in Canada, for example, today's feed costs are 40% lower than they were a year ago. But that's all completely to do with a record. Canada had a record grain crop as well as the U.S. corn crop. And so we've got a lot of supply in the system right now. So that's more an issue of what's going on with great weather, big crops, big yields, lots of production, and of course prices have come down. So I think that is probably more of a cyclical question. And I suspect over the past 10 years there's been very expensive years, like last year, or the year we're coming into where it looks like a lot less from a cost perspective.
What do you see are the challenges facing the ag industry as we move forward?
Well, I guess I've always said, we have to be listening and watching to, and I think you mentioned earlier in the interview, the consumer and getting our messages properly. And I think for those of us that have been around a long time, we tend to talk about our industry as a supply push, and I think the messages now are no. On the demand side, a demand pull. Let the consumers' demand direction pull this market where it needs to go. And that's going to give us a clearer picture of what consumers want, what they're willing to pay for, what they're not willing to pay for, and not just here in U.S. and Canada, but elsewhere in the world. So the world is our oyster in this environment, and I think we need to have our eyes wide open and listening to those messages loud and clear.
One of the things that seems to be popping up over and over is sustainability. The word sustainability. McDonald's came out recently and said, we're going to purchase verifiable sustainable beef by 2016. What does that mean, both as a producer and then as a consumer?
Well, first of all, I don't know if we really know what that means just yet. So I think kind of the shot's been fired over the bow as far as let's figure these things out as an industry, from food service, from the McDonald's end right through to the consumer end, and the producers involved in that discussion and what we do. Now, first of all, I think as producers we do an extremely good job, but we maybe have not done the best job about talking about the sustainable things we do and what we could do better. So I think this is going to be an excellent process to kind of work those things out, but it has to all be in collaboration together. And like I say, we're at an excellent starting point. We've talked about it for a while, but now once McDonald's mentions it, it's out there on the radar screen big time.
What are you doing on your operation to be sustainable? What are some of those practices that you've been doing?
Well, of course, if you were to talk to my husband as far as grass management, I mean, the grass is what basically is the production of our ranch, right? So the cattle are basically the consumers of that grass and the users of the grass. So the health of the rangeland, the health of the grasses, not overgrazing, watching what's going on with weather conditions, drought years, you're going to move off quicker, you're going to do things to mitigate any kind of soil erosion, dealing with water issues as far as developing sustainable water platforms for cattle to use versus maybe areas that were maybe not as sustainable from a production perspective. So it's really the natural resources that a rancher really has to focus on, and we do.
Well, I always let everybody have a couple of the last questions, and one of them is independent of price point. People love beef. Why do they love beef?
Oh, I always say taste. I always say taste. That's the reason I love it, and when I talk to people, that's the reason they say they love it as well. So I got to go with taste.
What's your favorite cut?
What is my favorite cut? I like a ribeye. That's just me.
Yeah, and what people can't see right now is your husband is standing right off camera, and I know that you guys probably grill out a lot, or maybe you have a favorite beef recipe. What's your favorite beef recipe?
Oh, right now it's got to be a ribeye aged on the barbecue. Just a little bit of perfect seasoning. Don't overdo it. No barbecue sauce. Oh, that's the best one you can get.
So last question, if you can tell the consumers out there anything you wanted them to know about the cattle industry, about the ag industry, what would you tell them? We
love our animals, and we love our business, and we love our land. And for everything to be sustainable in our operation, it all goes together. So we're doing a phenomenal job, and we do need to tell that message loud and clear.
And thank you for stopping by Cattle Chat Corner.
Thank you.